Hello everyone! I wish that I could be with you there in person, but this video will give you an idea of what's been going on with Bara this past year and where we're heading in the future. Our sabbatical has been full of fruit, and I want to tell you about it. But first I need to talk about where we've come from in order to explain where we're going. Bara began as a Christian youth dance company, growing primarily out of a desire for dance to be revitalized, accepted, and included in the church, and for young Christian dancers to have an outlet for faith exploration and experience. The hope was to grow it into a professional company. Back in the day, we were highly involved in dance as worship, performing very often in churches as part of weekly services. I vividly remember Karen talking about how musicians often get their start performing in churches, and wouldn't it be exciting if dancers had the same opportunity? Like I've said before, this vision has been realized. I'm one of the first generation of dancers in our time that can say I was formed as a dancer and artist in church. And there are several generations after me that can also make this claim. As time went on, many of us dancers in Bara's early years decided to study dance formally, attending university, majoring in dance, or pursuing other training. This was a major point of transition in the company, as the quality of our dancing and our age had surpassed what fit under a youth company designation. We were now a pre-professional company, and our focus shifted toward more concert-style theater performances. At this point, God brought Bara into a sabbatical year, not unlike the one we've just had. During this year, the younger levels of Bara were separated into an official youth division, and a professional company emerged, dubbed the Project Company. This was an exciting, if difficult, time, and resulted in a changeover of staff and many dancers as well. Looking back, I see that God was cracking Bara open, making us more vulnerable by opening us to new people, new experiences, and a way of operating that had one foot bringing dance to church and the other inviting God to the theater. Eventually, the youth company did more of the church ministry, and the project company did more theater-based performance work. Through these transitions, Bara stayed true to its original identity, while also adding new ones, and this was good. Then, again 2 years ago, we found ourselves in a time of transition, a changeover of staff, board, and a carefully considered move of the youth division out from under Bara and over to Crossings. All of these shifts forced us to both revisit who we are and where we came from, compared to where we're going. Bara has made extreme strides in allowing dance to be included in the Christian sphere. I wish I had a number for how many churches we've danced at in Calgary. I'm sure it's well into the hundreds. Dance is now welcomed and even considered normal in most places. And we no longer have to hide our bodies behind floor-length skirts, ginormous sleeves, and tunics. This is a huge accomplishment. In a sense, we've arrived where Karen dreamed we would. So what's next? God is certainly not done with Bara, and my task in this past year was to listen to his guidance and my passion to envision Bara's future. Where is there room for growth, for impact, for living into this tension between faith and art? After settling into our sabbatical year, I invited Jesselyn, our new company manager, to journey with me through a weekly visioning process. We wrestled with as many questions as we could come up with. Questions such as, what purpose can dance serve? What is Bara's role in culture? How is Bara like church, and how is it not? What does it mean to be professional? What should our season look like? What type of people do we hire, and why? What role should church ministry play in Bara? What can we learn from our history and our story? For the future, the area of greatest potential and my vision for both ministry and the artistic development is to pursue an identity as a professional dance company that creates work through the lens of Christian faith and spirituality. This is not different than what we've done in the past, but it is more focused. We will no longer retain church ministry as part of our core identity, but leave that to our friends at Crossings Dance and Arise. My goal is to push Bara further into the artistic community in Calgary, so that we function as a highly visible dance company, continuing to build respect for our artistic merit. This will open Bara up to a vast array of opportunities and possibilities for the future. Our practice will be to invite dancers and choreographers into an experience of dance that they may not have had by shaping the work through spiritual practice. The idea is that our work would invite dancers, choreographers, and audience alike into an experience of God by requiring our artists to engage with their own spirituality in the making and performing of dance. As artistic director, I will be intentionally fostering a safe space for artists to explore questions, embark on a spiritual journey of discernment, and seek wisdom through the weekly rehearsal process. In my own undertaking of this practice, I've found that this approach not only enriches me as a person, but as an artist, and it's one of the greatest offerings we have for the dance community. A chance to be pushed to the vulnerable corners of our humanity to make our work, leaving us better artists, more whole people, and in its ripples, a more integral arts community. In the past, our audience base has been primarily churchgoers, but this discernment-focused approach to the creative process will ensure our work is accessible to all audiences, churchgoers of the dance community and non-dance educated alike, because of this human element of spirituality. So what does this mean in practical terms? The plan for this year is to contract 8 dancers, 4 paid, 2 unpaid apprentices, and 2 tuition-based GAP program participants. We will be creating 3 dances for a full-length performance in October of 2017. I will be creating one of these pieces this spring on the 4 professional dancers that we'll hire. My piece will use distance as a parameter for creation, so the whole work will be set on the dancers rehearsing in Calgary while I'm still living here in Toronto. I'm looking forward to what I'm sure will be an intensive learning process. Chantal Gander, our previous artistic director, will be setting a work again this spring on the 2 apprentices and 2 gap dancers. I'm very, very glad to see her back in action. And I have high hopes that the 3rd dance will be created over a summer intensive by a highly renowned local choreographer, but I can't tell you who because we're still negotiating. You'll notice that I've not mentioned a theme for this show, and this is intentional. I've asked each of the choreographers to come up with a theme that both inspires their creativity and will foster their own spiritual investigation, in anticipation that this will enable a high level of personal investment, vulnerability, and artistic integrity. I'm excited to witness the show take shape through the lived experience of spiritual journey, to see what emerges out of the choreographers' and dancers' hearts, minds, and bodies. Moving beyond this year, we will establish a seasonal rhythm for Bara, building into producing 2 shows per year. Rehearsals will begin each January for the first performance in the spring, which would be a collection of smaller works. For this yearly performance, we will host 2 to 3 choreographic residencies for the company dancers. So basically, company dancers would apply to choreograph for the show, and Bara would take care of all the rehearsal and production expenses. In return, the choreographers would apply for their work to be shown in other festivals throughout Alberta. This way we save the cost of choreographers' fee, provide choreographic opportunities for our dancers, and we get Bara further out into the dance community by showing work in local festivals. This first spring show will also be an opportune time to collaborate with other arts groups, to try an alternate venue like we've done in the past, the Art Gallery or Leighton Centre, and generally make room for artistic risk. Each summer we'll turn our focus to the second and more major production of the season, to be performed in October. This yearly show would be created over an intensive period of rehearsals throughout the summer, when most dancers have less happening in the way of work anyway. This show would be composed of 2 or 3 longer works, choreographed by myself, invited choreographers, and possibly including a piece from the spring show that has great potential for further development. This show could then be toured to other cities throughout the fall, so that we make the most of our investment. When I consider the future of Bara, I see that a lot needs to be done. Our greatest challenge will be to establish a funding model to allow us to reach and surpass our aspirations. Fundraising, marketing, public funding initiatives, broadening our donor base, and building in programming that supports both our vision and our finances will all be important. I'm ready to take on this challenge, one bit at a time, and I hope that you will join me, because Bara is special. It's founded on the premise that dance has limitless potential as an art medium. Dance can voice our deepest desires, demonstrate our rawest humanity, show us that we are at once all the same and all unique. And dance, done in pursuit of our God, a God that is all loving, all wisdom, all truth, and himself a creator, can only leave people changed. So, let's move into Corbera's future with expectation, poised to thrive, and trusting that God is moving. Thanks, everyone.